Well, right now we're going to take a look through the day's French newspapers with Nicholas Rushworth. Hi there, Nicholas.
Hi, Kat.
And you're going to start off with Libération leading on those elections in Israel.
Bye-bye Bibi, question mark. That's the take for Libé this Tuesday. There you can see Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister. Israel's elections getting a lot of the attention in the French press. Now, the paper Libération on the left of the political spectrum is saying that, well, Netanyahu could lose his job for forgetting, and I quote here to you, Catherine, that you cannot govern for long using fear as your only policy. The paper calls for an Israeli leader who can build ties with Washington and renew them with Europe. There you can see one of their inside pieces there talking about the divisions in Israeli society. It's saying that what the new leader of Israel must do is fuel hope for Israelis and, of course, relaunch dialogue with the Palestinians.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu made a bit of a last-minute declaration yesterday, didn't he, that seems to go against all those things that you said that many in the West are wanting to see from him. That's a bit of a focus for Le Figaro.
Well, Le Figaro has Netanyahu on its front page saying that the left wing in Israel is seeking to end the Netanyahu era, and as he's trailing in the polls, he's hardened his rhetoric, saying that he will reject the creation of a Palestinian state. Let's look more closely at that front page. Le Figaro has another main story looking at a proposal to beef up anti-terrorist legislation here in France, and this is all about giving the police new measures. Remember, we're 2 months and more after the Charlie Hebdo attacks. Now, those measures include stepping up surveillance of suspects in prison, Catherine, of using spy software so that people who are actually suspects writing on a keyboard, they can be monitored for what they're writing, using bugging devices, so a James Bond approach to beefing up the intelligence services there. Now, the paper Le Figaro this Tuesday is saying that at this point, the Interior Ministry is saying 1,400 French nationals are involved with the jihad in Syria in one form or another. That as of end of February, more than 400 are fighting on the ground in Syria for the Islamic State organization. So there you can see the full detail on those beefed up measures there.
You've got to wonder what civil liberties groups might have to say about those. Probably hear from them in the next couple of days. Well, from a big election in Israel to lots and lots of very small elections here in France. We're going to be talking about this all week, I'm sure. The departmental elections. They might be small, but they're packing a big punch, aren't they?
They are indeed. The departmental elections are really the major political rendezvous of the year here in France, and they really are a gauge of public mood, with what we're seeing the far-right National Front ahead in polls at 30% of the vote. Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien is reporting on the campaigning on Monday evening. There you can see Valls and Sarkozy, the match in the Essonne. Essonne is a department in the Greater Paris region, which is actually Valls' home territory. Fascinating reading, actually, if you love politicking and campaigning. On the one hand, we had Nicolas Sarkozy in one part of the department, 20 kilometres away from Valls, and he was saying, well, you know, this government, they can't govern anything, they no longer govern. And in terms of the splits in the ruling party, he says, well, the more they disagree, the more they huddle together to keep warm. Now, over 20 kilometres away, another part of the Essonne department, Manuel Valls was riposting, perhaps not really knowing what Sarkozy was saying, but he was saying, this is not a cockfight between the parties at all. Sarkozy has neither backbone nor conviction. So the full swing of campaigning there going on. Le Figaro is covering this as well in its paper, saying that the centre-right of Nicolas Sarkozy are hoping to get a clean sweep in the Paris region, so not just the Essonne department, but 7 or 8 in total. So that would be extraordinary. The far-right National Front not poised to really make any gains at all in the Paris region.
Very interesting indeed. And still with politics, the right-leaning paper L'Opinion, looking at the economic side of this. The government's apparently talking up the economy in the light of these elections coming up.
Well, election week, and surprise, surprise, a bit of a buzz about the economy. Rare positive data for France. Now, this is L'Opinion's take, saying that, well, when we heard on Monday that foreign investment was up by 8% in 2014, actually what we heard was a report that should have been published in April, which has been brought forward. And the subheading, you can't see it in that graphic there, but the subheading to the main piece is called Ecstasy, which is about Claude Barthelon, the Speaker of the House, who's a socialist, who said on Sunday, well, I'm not on ecstasy, listen to me. France is moving. The reforms are working. So, of course, the paper there saying the whole government seems to be on ecstasy or something in a way, the way it looks at things through rose-tinted spectacles.
The less said about that, the better, I think. Time for one last quick story from the Freebie paper, 20 minutes.
And just very quickly, Friday, a partial eclipse. Readers are being advised by one Freebie paper to get those spectacles out and keep your eyes away from the sun, Cat.
Perfect. All right, more on that later in the week. Thanks very much for now. Nick Rushworth, our press reviewer.